Good morning. It's November the 10th, and this is your daily devotion. I'm sitting this morning in one of my favorite relaxing places, my hammock outside, and I'm reading one of my favorite books written by my beloved friend and mentor who has gone on to be with the Lord, the Reverend Dr. Pat McGahey. And the book is entitled, Help, Lord. Brother Pat, as I always have known him, said he wanted to name this book, Help, Lord, I'm sliding off the barn roof. Never mind, Lord, my pants hung on a barn nail. Many times when we're in distress, hopefully, we are eager to pray. But then, interestingly, so often when those prayers are answered, we say, oh, I guess I didn't really need God anyway. That's been handled. Well, prayer may just be simply our honest declaration, help, Lord, or it may be praise, or it may be an ongoing conversation, but prayer is essential. It is our way, one of our main ways of connecting and communing with God. And God is so eager to be in real communion with us. And this book has a lot of simple, helpful advice about prayer. But the main thing is that prayer doesn't need to be fancy or long or showy. In fact, it probably should not be if you follow the words of Jesus. Prayer needs to be honest and humble. And I don't know if you're like me, but if I'm honest, if I get a good look at my own reflection, metaphorically and physically speaking, humility follows right after that. God already sees us as we are and loves us, and so we can come honestly to God in prayer. Prayer is a way of being all in our connection to God. Our sermon series, we're talking about loving God with our heart, with our mind, and with our whole selves, our bodies, or our gut. In prayer, you are pouring out your heart, you are considering God and your condition with your mind, and you are physically engaged with your body. There's a whole chapter in here about postures in prayer. Do we pray with hands folded? Do we pray with arms extended? Do we pray standing? Do we pray kneeling? Do we pray lying prostrate? Do we pray sitting comfortably in a hammock? And I think the answer would be for all of those, at least in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of Brother Pat, would be yes, in all of those ways. God is eager to hear us, and we come to God in whatever way that we can reach out, even if we're sliding down the barn roof. There are a lot of prayers in the Bible that can help us to know what it means to pray. And one prayer that Brother Pat mentions that struck me as I was reading this book recently is Psalm 131. And so I'm going to read you that psalm, that prayer, and then some words that Brother Pat says about it. Psalm 131. O Lord, my heart is not lifted up, my eyes are not raised too high. I do not occupy myself with things too great and too marvelous for me, but I have calmed and quieted my soul, like a child quieted at its mother's breast. Like a child that is quieted is my soul. Brother Pat suggests that this gentle psalm would be condemned by some as escapist, the prayer of a cop-out. But there are times when everyone must say, I've done all I know to do, the rest I'll have to leave to God, and then lie down and go to sleep. If I were going to have my children memorize a poem to say at night, I believe I would prefer this to Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. It might not be a bad thing for me to recite every evening. Indeed, it is hard for me to read it over without feeling more relaxed. It is a song of trust. Well, I don't know about you, but right now I could use a song of trust to help me sleep and be at peace in my God's arms at night and anytime. So, one thing that Brother Pat did in his study of the Psalms, he was actually going for his doctoral, his PhD, when he was at our church in my formative teenage years. And he studied the Psalms and he set them to tunes that were easily accessible, that we could actually sing, because of course the Psalms were originally meant to be sung. And so he suggested that this psalm could be easily sung to a lullaby, to the Rockabye Baby tune. And so, ignore the mediocrity of my singing ability, but I'm going to show you how that works.
O Lord, my heart is not lifted up, my eyes are not raised upward too high. I do not worry myself with things too marvelous and too great for me. But I have calmed and quieted my soul, like a child quiet at his mother's breast. A child that is quieted is my soul, from this time forth and forevermore.